Since 2023, something fundamental has shifted. Energy is no longer just a resource, it's becoming an algorithm. Across Germany, the UK, France, California, Australia, and parts of Canada, governments and utilities are quietly installing a new architecture: AI-managed power grids, automated rationing systems, and real-time consumption control. The public thinks this is about saving the planet. It's not. It's about managing scarcity in a world where demand permanently outpaces supply. And the easiest way to do that is automation. This is the beginning of the new energy order, a future where your access to electricity is not a right, but a variable the system adjusts dynamically. The term smart grid sounds harmless, modern, technical, convenient. But buried under that branding is something radically different. A grid that observes, predicts, and modifies human behavior in real time. Across Europe and the US, millions of smart meters now transmit minute-by-minute data. These systems don't just measure consumption, they learn your routines. When you cook, when you heat, when you shower, when you charge your car, when your house is empty. This is not energy infrastructure. This is behavioral infrastructure. Germany's digital meter rollout explicitly mentions load shaping, a polite way of saying the grid will decide when you can consume electricity. France's Enedis openly promotes dynamic tariffs, designed to push households out of peak hours using automated penalties. The UK's data communications company now manages over 33 million remote addressable meters, the largest behavioral energy network in Europe. And in the US, California's utilities deploy automated demand response, where connected appliances can be throttled or turned off without user approval. Efficiency is the marketing. Control is the function. Rationing no longer requires a war. It only requires an algorithm. In Germany, heat pumps and EV chargers can be remotely downscaled during tension events, a capability introduced after the 2022 to 2023 energy crisis. In the UK, smart meters can be switched into prepayment mode remotely, effectively cutting power to households unable to pay. In France, the grid operator RTE uses probabilistic AI models to impose regional load shedding. They call it consumption modulation. It's rationing, automated, impersonal, continuous. California went even further. During heat waves, residents enrolled in smart thermostat programs discovered the grid operator could lock their home temperature, even when they tried to override it. The fine print allowed it, they never read it. In Australia, some states now require new solar inverters to include remote disconnect capability. If too many homes generate power at once, the grid can shut you off. The pattern is global. The system decides, you adapt. Why are governments doing this? Because the old model is mathematically impossible to maintain. Aging infrastructure built for a different century. Exploding demand from EVs, electric heating, and industrial electrification. Data centers and AI computing consuming gigawatts. Renewables instability, creating unpredictable supply. Political pressure to shut down nuclear and fossil power. The numbers don't add up. So instead of expanding supply, policymakers are shifting the burden to citizens, not through public debate, but through automated governance systems. AI-based grid engines can now predict demand spikes hours in advance and enforce restrictions automatically before a blackout occurs. This isn't demand management. It's risk governance. Civilization-sized crisis prevention through invisible rationing, austerity built into infrastructure. The next phase is already here: forced optimization. Under EU and UK standards, new appliances must include demand response capabilities, meaning they can be remotely controlled by grid operators. This includes water heaters, heat pumps, air conditioning, industrial refrigeration, pool pumps, EV chargers, large-scale HVAC systems. Your house is no longer a private domain. It's a node in a larger optimization network. Here's the simple truth. If millions of people want to charge their cars at 6 p.m., they won't. If factories collectively exceed the day's energy quota, they'll be throttled. If a data center spikes at night, households will dim. Nothing personal. Just optimization. In the new energy order, comfort becomes a variable. Your devices negotiate with the grid, and the grid always wins. Energy used to be invisible. Now it's political. If you control the flow of electricity, you control behavior. Want lower consumption? Raise dynamic tariffs automatically. Want people to shift habits? Penalize peak hour usage. Want compliance with green policies? Limit high consumption devices. Want to discipline industries? Adjust their available load. Want to shape regional development? Alter grid priority. Electricity becomes the quiet language of governance. Soft power. Invisible constraint. The public never sees the liver. They only feel the consequences. This is the most efficient form of political influence. No force, no debate, no resistance. Just algorithms shaping reality. People still treat electricity as a switch, on or off. But in the 2030s, it becomes a permission system. You will have more devices than ever, but fewer opportunities to use them freely. You will have a smart home, but permissions controlled by remote algorithms. You will have renewable power, but conditional access. And the most ironic part? The public is actively helping the transition. Every smart meter, every connected thermostat, every eco-friendly appliance expands the system's control layer. Freedom doesn't disappear. It becomes variable, adjustable, revocable. A subscription model for basic consumption. The new energy order is not imposed by force. It's installed through convenience. Germany's rationing systems exist. France's dynamic tariffs are live. The UK's remote shutoff capability is functional. California's automated restrictions are normalized. Australia's remote solar disconnect is mandatory. The infrastructure is complete. The logic is deployed. The automation is active. The next large energy crisis, winter, heat wave, or geopolitical shock, will reveal the true nature of the system. The moment stress hits, the grid will take control. Instantly. Automatically. Justified by necessity. And the world will wake up in the new energy order, a society where the essential question is no longer who governs, but who controls the kilowatts. This transmission ends here. The next one is already forming. Stay aware and subscribe to Remain in the Signal.